Hello, cat. Why are you yelling at me? I just fed you. I just fed you. Oh, wait. No, I gotta turn it on. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if you can see it. But this one glows. This is my new cup, everybody. Lady says, I want to see cup. I want to see the Tron cup. It is a Tron cup. It is a Tron cup. I got the Tron cup from AMC. And if I'm looking fire, it's because I just recorded, edited, and uploaded, and I'm waiting to see. Oh, I'm still wearing fucking sunglasses. Jesus. Recorded, edited, and uploaded my Tron Ares review. Yeah, Spooky Pepper Tron is out now. It came out... Well, okay, no, yeah, because it's Friday, so it technically came out today, but I've seen it twice. How is Jared Leto? Look, okay. Jared Leto looks really good for somebody who's like 54. Like, it's insane that he looks that good. However, whatever he's doing has the monkey's-like paw effect of, like... The dude has the most prominent under eye veins I've ever fucking seen. And it bugs me so much anytime there's like a close-up in the movie. Because like it's just his eye veins. Like that's 90% of what I remember from the movie is Jared Leto's weird fucking adrenochrome eye veins. Why did I watch it twice? Well, so the first time was the early, like, when the fan showing or whatever the fuck AMC called it. Sorry, my hair is not cooperating. The fan showing or whatever the fuck AMC called it. And so me and my partner saw it. We were kind of out of, like, the center view. And so last night, because I have the AMC Stubs thing, so I see technically 4 movies a week for free. Not for free. I pay for it. It's a monthly subscription. But I see 4 movies a month. And even though I don't use it as much as I should, it's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to... Oh, shit. Actually, I need to turn on my AC again. Give me 1 second. That's what you sound like, cat. That's what you sound like. There we go. Adrenochrome, yeah, I'm joking. Buenas noches, Juancho. Cat. What? I already fed you. I just fed you. But yeah. So I saw it and I had thoughts. My poor partner had to listen to me rant for about 2 hours after the showing we went to. Because my partner, I made them sit through Tron 82 and Legacy right before we saw it. And because I was hoping that fucking AMC would get their shit together. And I really was looking forward to, honestly, in hindsight, I really wish I would have gotten it only to do that. But I really wanted to go see Tron Legacy in IMAX 3D again. And they did not do the double showing here in my town, so it was like whatever. It's beside the point. I will try and link this. There we go. I got you, Stella. I believe it should be pinned. And so I had my partner and I, we watched it. I ranted to my partner for about 2 hours. The next day I woke up and I wrote about 4,000 words of a review script because I was like, you know what? I really need to, I have thoughts about how this fucking thing, like, I have thoughts. I don't do a lot of like movie reviews of mainstream films. Like usually it's, you know, it's something like Christian films. And it certainly won't be like, you know, this is the big action blockbuster of the season. Like that's not really my thing. But I did do one this year for Captain America: Brave New World, which was a fucking pile of shit. But more to dissect its themes and how it kind of interacted with the corporate like Disney mission. And I think Tron Ares is maybe worse about that. There should be if all goes well, the video should be up tomorrow. Yes. So the review for Tron Ares should be up on the channel tomorrow morning. It got ad approval. I spent all day editing it. Yeah. It's hard to say I'm heartbroken because I think that would insinuate I ever had like high hopes for Ares, which I didn't. Like kind of as soon as they announced that it would be like a reboot, as soon as they announced that it wasn't going to be Tron Ascension, it wasn't going to be the same director, same writers, Garrett Hedlund, Olivia Wilde weren't coming back. As soon as, honestly, when Bruce Boxleitner said like, yeah, I'm not really interested, I'm like what the fuck? That is Tron. Y'all made a movie with. Have I seen one battle after another? No, not yet. I do want to. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And anyway, the reason I saw Tron, I didn't technically see the whole thing. I just sat through like I sat through most of it. But I just wanted to like see it in IMAX, like laser 3D for, you know, for special effects reason. And it was really, like, fair dues, it's a pretty movie when it's a pretty movie. When it's not fucking, you know, in the real world and they're filming it in goddamn, Gavin Lensick, to me it seems like you think politics matter more to you than the quality, like Jesse Gender and right-wingers. I mean, like, the politics are usually interspersed with the quality. Like when it comes to like a big, you know, corporate product, something like this or, you know, Captain America movie, the politics or lack thereof, how it navigates a political climate is usually directly interspersed with its lack of ambition narratively. And that I think is a major problem with Tron, is that like it is such a safe cookie cutter Tron Ares. It's such a fucking safe cookie cutter movie, but it is also solely interested in serving as like a propaganda mouthpiece for AI. But also, unfortunately, it looks fucking cool. Like it looks fucking rad. Bravest of Fairies, did you see Thunderbolts and or Fantastic Four? And if so, how do they compare to Brave New World? Thunderbolts, way fucking better. Thunderbolts, I would actually say is like solid movie. Like I had a really good time with Thunderbolts. I only saw it once. I've yet to see Fantastic Four. I have it's one of those things, I'm sure I will see it in a bit, but like I am so over the idea, honestly, Deadpool versus Wolverine and like Doomsday and just the haphazard lack of care for any semblance of quality. Like there was a point in which there was a part of my brain that, as a fan of just cinema, as a fan of just movies, there was a point at which my brain could still be tickled by watching a Marvel film, right? Where I could sit down and be like, okay, this is like a superhero movie, but you know, if you sit down and watch Ant-Man, this is a superhero movie, but it's a heist movie too. And I'm like, okay, that's an interesting spin. You know, this is like a superhero movie, but it's like kind of a Cold War drama. Okay, that's an interesting idea. And they've just like completely lost that, like any stylistic flair. Like go back to, like, I will still defend the first Avenger, you know, for all the bullshit it would lead to down the road. Captain America: The First Avenger is a movie that has a stylistic fucking flair to it. Like it is a movie that leaves you with images in your head, you know, and excuse me, and not in the, like, you know, that kind of pre-planned Russo brothers like hype and aura moments where people are like, oh yeah, this is the thing that's gonna be shared on social media. It's like, no, it leaves you with images because it is telling a story through those images. It is not just like formulating an endless series of things that people are going to share on social media, you know? And I think that is, like, that's kind of the style of filmmaking I think Tron Ares takes after, is that new fucking newfangled bullshit. New Chap, thank you very much for rating with the party of 31. Superman was great. I liked Superman. Superman was fun. And yeah, probably the closest we'll ever see to a Wolfenstein movie. Honestly, yeah. Yeah. Like that movie was like rock fucking solid. And yeah, and like Atlas Femby definitely feels like homework for Keeping Up with Marvel. I'm not fucking, yeah, I'm like when they started doing like, oh, this character's gonna have their own, like Miss Marvel and stuff, and it's like, I'm not gonna watch a whole spin-off show for a minor character that's gonna be in a movie that isn't that good to begin with. I'm just like, I don't, like, fucking miss me with this shit. God, oh my God. Yeah, Gavin Lancic, when you tell this is the audience clap or scream moment in Disney remakes, let me fucking tell you, I don't want to, you know, harp on it too terribly much, because I have the Tron video coming out tomorrow. But the way that, because I love Tron Legacy, and I kind of explained my love for it. As flawed of a movie as it is a movie that has a lot of respect for the source, for the original, but it is not cloying. It is not overly reverent. It is not like the kind of fawning adoration you got from like J.J. Abrams and like the callbacks that he would put in Star Wars. There are only, like, off the top of my head, I've seen Tron Legacy a lot. There are only like 3 callbacks I can really think of in like terms of dialogue, in terms of references, and some of them are fucking really subtle. Like somebody literally just picking up something that they would have picked up anyway, even if it wasn't like a thing that, you know, people are like, oh, do you recognize this? And then Tron Ares feels like every fucking 5 minutes they have to remind you that you're watching, that, like, you love Tron 1982, right? Like, you know this line from Tron 1982. And it's like, I talk about it in the video, but like, I'm seated in a theater for a movie with the Tron name. Yes, I know, you don't need to keep reminding me about Tron. Fuck, man. Yeah, it's very frustrating film. And Jeff Bridges being in the movie is like, I did my best. So if anybody who wants to see the movie, and if you're worried about spoilers, I did my best to, I don't spoil anything that isn't in a trailer. So like very brief things. And the fact, you know, in the last couple of months or weeks leading up to this, especially, Jeff Bridges has been... Cat, what? You have food. You do. My goodness. It's extreme nostalgia baiting. And that's the fucking insane part of it. Is like, I love Tron. And I have since I was a kid. And and maybe it's just that I'm so cynical and I'm so jaded and I'm so fucking over like every movie that's a sequel having to fill it, like be filled to the brim with this nostalgia bait callback shit. But there's just these moments in Ares that are just like eye rolling. Like I want to smack the people who did it. Like I'm just like, yeah, no, it's like it's a light cycle. I know. I'm familiar. Like just let the movie it's a film that does not trust the audience at all. It does not, like, it wants to tell you literally everything you're supposed to be feeling at all times. And it's so fucking frustrating. Anyway, oh, we have friend. Hello. Yeah, it is modern day Hollywood. Oh my goodness. Hello, Kibben. Hello. Excuse me. What's a good remake or sequel? Evil Dead. Evil Dead 2013. Dog, what do you want? You're fine. I'm working. I'm streaming. I just took you out. Okay, you're being a butthead. Shush. Where's your ball? Get your ball. Where's your ball? I can't. No, because I have your sister on my lap. What did I think of the villain at least? Okay, which villain? Because there's kind of a like there's a little bit of a secret villain. Oh yeah, Fright Night 2011 is Grace. Yeah, I watch foreign cinema when I can. Like when it comes through here, I'll try and catch. I like a lot of Bollywood movies that come through here. Hello, baby. Cat name? The cat is Miss. This is Missers, and dog is Lady. Oh no, Hedge Rush. As a European, I usually miss your streams, but since I have a newborn, I'm up at 3 a.m. Good stuff. I am sorry. Yeah, Ethan Price. So Ethan Price, the thing with Alien Romulus has some of the callbacks, like "Get away from her, you bitch" was maybe the worst war crime in cinema. Like really fucking bad. But then the thing with CG Ash is that they made a non-CG version, and that would have been far better to have done. Oh, Julian Dillinger. I actually thought Jack Quaid did a good job. Here's the thing, and again, I don't want to go too much into it because I have like a full half-hour video coming out tomorrow. But I need to stop sniffling right into the mic. But sorry, I'm throwing my dog's ball. I think so. There is half of Tron Ares I think could have been way more compelling, but I think works fine for what it is. It works totally, like it's completely serviceable. And that is the part with Julian Dillinger and Ares, where it plays like this dark reflection of what if Kevin Flynn was like this conniving, obsessive, power-hungry young genius, instead of being somebody who kind of wanted to, have free technology and create a free system and all this stuff. Is that Evan Peters? Why the fuck do I think that's Jack Quaid? No, you're absolutely right. Oh my god. No, it's... Oh, holy shit. Damn. Those two white boys look exactly the same to me. That's crazy. Hello, Kidman. Hello, cat. I see you. I see you, baby. Oh, yeah. Oh, good. Oh, good creatures. Oh, good creatures. All right, give me 1 second. I need to go blow my nose and do some nasal spray, and then I'll be right back. Yeah, sorry. I think I am getting a little bit actually sick. It's been just happening lately. I've been feeling kind of, that flu-y congestion feeling. But yeah. Well, I gotta stream. I gotta keep up these donos. I gotta keep up these noties. These what the fuck, the subbies. That's what I gotta keep up. Staying on that grind set. Y'all know how I be doing. Y'all know how I do. This is actually a really good cup, though. Because I have not gotten a cup from a movie. So for the most part, like, movie collectibles are fucking... But I saw this and I was like, ooh, okay, first off, Cyber Juice, very good for me. Then second off, I think people miss that. It lights up, and that's very good for me. Oh, hello, Kibben. Hello, Kibben. When is Jarch reveal? I still gotta. Ooh, I guess I can actually order the Jarch now. Hello, Kibben. Okay, give me 1 second too, and then we'll be ready to get going on the actual topics for today. Cat will take over for me. Here we go, baby. Kibben. Kibi. No, I need to order it. Hello. Hello. I like how they 3D print Jared Leto like a little Warhammer guy. I like how Jared Leto dies a bunch. That's funny. That's very good for me. Put Miss back in front of the camera, goddammit. Okay. Jeez Louise. Here's Kibben. She said, "What the hell? What the hell?" Yeah. She's lost a little bit of weight. I think when I get paid again, I'm gonna try and take her in. Cause she's like she'll still eat, but she's getting so like I can feel her. I don't know. I can't tell if it's just that like okay I'm petting her, but like I can feel her bones and stuff. Does Miss always look shocked? No, she always looks grumpy. Like she always looks like a little grumpus. Camera, fucking work with me here. There we go. Jesus. What? Do you want more attention? She just patted my arm. She was just like. There we go. Yes, there we go, baby. There's my baby. Oh, she's so snuggly now. She always wants to be snuggling. She's always snuggling me or Koa, my partner. My partner's been playing a lot of Hades 2. I still haven't played Hades 2. Eyeliner's going hard. Thank you. It's supposed to be like a Tron light trail, like a light cycle trail. Because this was part of my look. The makeup and the hair is all my look from the Tron Ares review. That again will be out tomorrow. Fun fact, yeah, that's my Buster sword back there. It's for my Cloud cosplay I did. Can't really do a Cloud cosplay without the Buster sword. So yeah, let's get into it. You ever do the pick? What do you mean? Oh, with Shinra Tower? No. I guess I probably should. See, I feel like doing the like Shinra Tower pose is like. I feel like it goes better if you're doing it as a bit, like if you're not actually doing the Hey, do not make biscuits on my new skirt. Do not make biscuits on my new skirt. I'm playing Battlefield 6 because I'm human trash. Could not be me. Could not be me. Hello, Kevin. Yeah, the Shinra Tower pose, but like looking at a Denny's. Yeah. Well, and you need to have like a spatula instead of a Buster sword. Or something. Like you need to be a little bit goofy with it. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. I've never been a big Battlefield girly to begin with. And then on top of that, there's... Like, I haven't actually been playing that many games. I played Silent Hill F. I want to finish my second playthrough of that. I was in a little bit of a holding pattern there for a minute, but I have Death Stranding 2 I need to get to. Because I got that to do my Hideo Kojima's Mommy Issues video. Boring and aimless with no plot to make sense of. What are you talking about playing? Hades? Hi, CD Barra. Oh, Battlefield. Okay. Making a Bollywood Souls-like, it looks awesome. I am thrilled for everybody, but like the second I see like a dodge roll in an E3 presentation, my interest for a game goes down to basically zero. Like the second somebody is like dodging out of the way and slowly swinging a big ass sword against a giant enemy, I'm like, okay, I get it. Crochet Whimsy, y'all, YouTube recommended me a video called Femboys and Fascism by Fatboy Charlie. That sucks, because I've had a script I've started and been working on and off about why so many femboys are Nazis, or why there's like a Nazi femboy phenomenon, that I've meant to dig into more, and I just haven't gotten around to it, so that's a bummer that somebody else has beat me to it. Whatever, I'll probably still do something at some point. Did you ever play Darktide, Scaventide? I never played Scaventide. I did play Darktide. I played Darktide 1, not Darktide 2. Missed the bleached hair. I mean, my hair's still bleached, just colored now. And it's going to fade out probably to something more silvery, because it's already losing a lot of the blue. Like, the blue luster is already going pretty far. It's already kind of silvering up, so... I mean, I think, okay, so I think it has, I think there's a couple reasons why, but I think it has more to do with, like, yeah, there are a ton of closeted, like, weirdo degenerates who, you know, honk it to femboy anime porn all day in places like 4chan and in those, like, Nazi groups. But I think also that, like, it gives gay men who are like, or people just exploring their gender who are also terminally online edgelord freaks, an outlet to like process their sexuality. Well, yeah, it's how trans Nazis exist. It's like, yeah, because there's shitheads in every group. All right, so we have a couple videos to watch today. Um, Adolf Twinkler. What a horrible thing to read. I follow a femboy called Mateo Blanco, and in interviews he's beyond intolerant and nasty. That sucks. I don't think I know Mateo sounds familiar, actually. Why do I know that? Oh, there's some more news video on Miller. I haven't seen it yet. mean, like, some people just want to feel like they are. Some people go out of their way to be persecuted. Let me put it like that. Some people just want to, like, feel persecuted. They want the validation they get from other people being against them. And like, oh, you just hate me because of this. You just hate me because of this. And then some people just can't pick a fucking struggle. Honestly, I feel like femboy Nazis and like trans women Nazis. I'm actually gonna take these out. Feel more of a side effect phenomenon of like upper middle class comfort, like material comfort, because you have to be able to be comfortable to like not pick a struggle like that. Is Milo Yiannopoulos a femboy Nazi? No, Milo has undergone twink death several times over. His twink death has had twink death. Oh, Jesus. Mateo Blanco. Ah. Honey. Ah. Yeah, I just looked up because like, why do I know Mateo Blanco? It's like, ooh. Yikes. I need to fucking fix, why is my... Look upon the banana. All right, so first we're gonna do something a little bit more fun. Femme gay men being so transphobic. So many gay men never get over their high school mean girl phase. They want to be okay. And here's the other thing. So many gay men, and gay men in my audience will be able to verify this, as somebody who's been in a lot of queer circles and seen this happen. So many gay men put such a value on their sense of personhood through their sexuality, through their sexual identity, and a lot of that comes from their like... A lot of that comes back to like harmful ideas about how youth equals attractiveness. So you see a lot of gay men, especially when they hit their 30s, they hit twink death, they start, you know, it's why so many people send like femboys. When you really want to get like a transphobic femboy, they'll send them, you know, pictures of like balding or something, right? Because they're not on estrogen. They're not going to, you know, be able to reverse that and stop that like trans women usually do. And it's just like... What was the Mama's Monkeys? What Mama's Monkeys? What did Mama's Monkeys say? I'm sorry, I gotta go back up. Not to freaking harm myself. Whoa. Okay, why do you want to harden yourself? You kind of have to illuminate that first. My gay cis male cousin takes pride in how much he finds women disgusting. Yeah, I think that you see that with like, that's one of the things that to me is the most concrete proof that somebody like Nick Fuentes is gay. Where like the way that he talks about women is so... It's so angry, but it's also like anatomical, in a bizarre way. Like there's like a tone that misogynistic gay men can take sometimes, and I don't quite get it. Clinical, yeah, like it's not even, it goes beyond just like, misogyny. Like it goes beyond like Andrew Tate type of like, just because Andrew Tate, there's something libidinal, there's something sexual about him. The way he talks about women like you're just a stupid hole, and like it's just like purely brutalistic. It is this brutish, stupid want to subjugate. Whereas somebody like Nick Fuentes is more like there's a vitriol there. Like there's a bile to it that is just, it's weird. It's questionable. I just find it very interesting, very interesting. But no, I don't think you should self-harm, by the way. Gay guy here, I'm proud of my sexuality. It's part of my identity. I'm not saying that, like, well, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be part of your identity, because I think that like there is something to be said for sexuality and expression of that sexuality. Like that is an incredibly important part of just being queer in general. And especially I think like there is a utility and importance currently right now of being transgressive, particularly as it applies to sex and what a lot of like conservative people would see as sexual immorality, right? Which is, that's my way of saying like, yeah, I think people need to be more open about sex. I think people shouldn't be so fucking, pent up and bottled up and hold it so fucking seriously and put so much emphasis on it. Because I think it is currently, people are trying to wrangle so much expression back, and sexuality is always going to be a part of that. That being said, there is a unhealthy predilection among young gay men, a certain subset, not all young gay men, but a certain subset of young gay men who prize so much their appearance of youth, their appearance of almost childlikeness. Like it's I don't know, like you see young twink models, or you see young twink like OnlyFans models or something, because I have a lot of friends who are sex workers, so I get a lot of stuff on my feed. I have to turn off reposts for everything all the time. It's fine. But you'll see sometimes people do share for share, and it'll come across my feed, and I'm just like, honey, eat a sandwich. Like you are, 18, 19, just exploiting yourself, because that is like there is a real conversation to be had about how so many people just want to use their youth up, and it is a finite resource, yeah. Yeah, aging is hard because there's no going back. Some people just can't accept that. I don't like that's true, but I think it's also part of that is, and I talk about this again, if you haven't watched the video essay I did on nostalgia, where I had like whole filmed section, I did like green screen shit, like go check that out. Part of the big problem with the way that we, especially as Americans, are just indoctrinated with marketing is the way that I think so many of us internalize ideas about youth, how it's like this fleeting thing that you can't ever get back. So you've got to, live it up. You got to wear the hottest stuff. You got to listen to the hottest music. You got to do all this stuff. And it's like, well, no, because you actually have a ton of years to do all that shit, And I think that's something you learn as you get a little older. Not even out of your 20s. I was in 20s, out of my 20s, when I was like, I actually don't need to put all this pressure on myself to hold myself up to other people's standards and other people's like accomplishments and stuff like that. Schloop, also people stop subscribing to your content if you gain weight. It's so evil. Well, unless you are gaining weight, like, and that's the other thing. It's like, unless you're gaining weight the right way. I've been following for like a year or two now. Yeah, it's been a year or two. A twink model named Foxy Alex, who started transitioning, and this was really the thing that got me to start following them, is they were very androgynous and very like gender expressive, and they've started transitioning and they've gained like a bunch of weight, and they look so much more healthy now, but they've gained it while being on HRT, so it is redistributed in a very feminine way. Military Humvee revisions. Remember seeing them on Insta a couple times? Hey, if you saw Foxy Alex on Insta, I know what you are. I know what you are. What would be your advice about hair thinning before you turn 30? Here's unfortunately, my advice about hair doesn't matter because I've never had to deal with it. And I probably, like, on the outside, I probably never will, really. My family has always had very dense, thick hair. I've always had a lot of body to my hair. I take, because estrogen can create more brittle hair, it helps spur hair growth, but the hair itself becomes more thin. I take biotin to help kind of offset that. So biotin is really good. And what are the things? There are things that I have friends who use. I think I saw somebody mention finasteride, and oh yeah, there we go. Finasteride and minoxidil are the two you should probably go to. Wear a hat. Hats are nice. No, don't wear a hat. Hats are bad for hair growth, by the way. Hats can like facilitate causing balding. People, this is pro tip. If you are one of the trans girls, if you are one of the femboys, if you are one of the like people who want to be more femme, who value your hair, don't try and cover it up with hair. Or with a hat. That will actively not help. That's a myth. I don't think. Oversized witch hats don't count. That's true. Is that a myth? Oh my god, am I spreading old wives' tales? Oh my god. Oh no. Oh, that's fucking... I'm gonna have to check that out, chat. Only tight hats, that's bad. Okay, that might be it. That might be it. You'll take my dysphoria beanie from my cold dead hands. There's no scientific... Oh, that's such a bummer. I can't believe I'm spreading shit my mom told me when I was like 7. Oh, that's fucking crazy. Queen Tara of Arcist, how do I get started on estrogen? I recommend people go to their local Planned Parenthood and talk to a care provider about your options. Planned Parenthood, far more than like local clinics and local care groups, like will help you fast track that in a way that like they still have you do hormone workups, they still have you do like assessments and all that stuff, but they are also more used to assessing people with gender dysphoria. They're more able to give you like the direction that you would want to go in, whereas I think a lot of other people like local clinics and stuff are far less familiar, and it leads to like just running in circles and people being like, well, are you sure you want to do this? We need to do this. I need to check this. Like, just go to people who at least have a idea of what the fuck they're talking about. Entertainment Power Fuchs. What a coincidence. I follow Foxy Alex since a year, and today Domain talks about Alex. I love Alex. They have really good, fun content. Wow. I mean, I'm a fan of their content, let's say. Yeah. I don't need to say more than that. It's fine. Don't worry about it, Schloop. Don't worry about it. My YouTube. Oh, these aren't my YouTube recommendations. I'm on Tucker's channel. Oh, Machine Pinata. How do you deal with lib shit people in your life that are pretending like shit is still normal? Okay, well, yeah, that's actually a really good question. Well, again, probably not actually a good question for me. Because the
first time somebody said to me during an interview that
the people who acted like shit was still normal in my life were my family and stuff, and they were not libs. They were like they're conservatives, you know. And they just aren't in my life anymore. They're just not in my life anymore. That's how that happens. The rest, like the people who are around me actively, my friends, my partners, my friend groups, even like there's even last night, was it last night? What's today? Today's Friday. Yesterday was Thursday. Yeah. So yesterday, I was at a Magic table. I was playing in a pod at my local LGS. I was playing with this dude who's a cis straight dude, and he's one of the cool ones who, like, you know, he'll really try and get me and my partner's pronouns right, and he invited us to like a little cookout thing. And just like a cool guy, probably about 10, 15 years older than me. And we just got to talk with, like, me and the other people in the pod just kind of started talking about, because one of them got a message about ICE being in our city, and that just kind of kicked off a conversation. All four of us in the pod were just like, yeah, no, like, this shit is crazy. And somebody's like, oh, it's so fucking terrible. I can't believe how, like, all four of these people, completely random, me and three cis straight white dudes ranging in probably, you know, one was probably late teens to, like, probably early 40s. All in vague agreement that shit is bad. That shit is like, and none of us, I think none of us wanted to, like, go too far into it because obviously these are incredibly contentious topics. I'm ready to throw down any fucking time. And I think my willingness to jump into the topics makes a lot of other people go like, no, we can, you know, hey, let's just play Magic. Let's just play Magic. But it seemed like pretty much everybody was kind of on the same foot of like, yo, this is crazy. I can't believe this is fucking happening. So I think I'm lucky to be both in an area and in a social strata and in a group, multiple friend groups where, like, everybody's kind of on the same page of how fucked it is. So unfortunately, I don't have a lot of, and here's the thing. I think as things continue to deteriorate, which they will, you're going to see more people coming to those realizations. And I think it is going to be the family lawnmower. I did the same, cut ties with my transphobic cousin. I never want to see his fucking face ever again. I didn't even give it a second thought because I'm so used to people's vehement cruelty, and I'm basically just reflecting it now back to them. Yeah. Whoa. Alaris, I stopped playing with someone on my LGS because he opened his mouth and said Trump had good ideas. Couldn't be me. No, I would, so there is a, so I've been working on a deck, and I'm not gonna go too far into the weeds on this. First off, I'm gonna read Queen Matriarch. Thank you very much for $10. Thank you for staying on script for the anti-fascist cause. As a reward for your loyalty, I give you your payment. Don't tell Pam Bondi, she might cry. Chief funding operations manager, Antifa LLP. Always proud to be a brave soldier in the Soros army. There's a a deck I've been working on. That's kind of become my pet deck lately because I have a couple pet decks. And when I say pet deck, they're decks that I make for Magic that are like, these are my babies. I love them. These are my little tiny baby bumpkins. Like Judith, my number one girly, I just got my first non $5 Ultra Pro case for. And like, okay, I'm gonna show her off real quick because I also printed off the custom card I made too. Because I only have a couple, like I make proxies and very rarely I'll print them off, but my Judith is my sweet baby, and I got this on Amazon. It's still like relatively cheap as deck boxes go, but yeah, Judith, Carnage Connoisseur, for those who haven't seen her. This is the custom proxy I made of Judith. I've shown it before. I've shown it before on like Twitter and Blue Sky and stuff. And yeah, and Johnny Viral also printed me some proxies, and some of which I have used. Some of them are still in my proxy box because I have a box of cards that I'm like, these aren't cards I can like sell, or you know, if anything happens to them, I don't want people getting them. But made me OF videos domain. I have an OnlyFans. I don't make videos. It would take money to get me to do a video, like more money than I think most people would be fucking willing to spare. Oh my god, Ryan, that fucking sucks. Someone at my LGS stopped going a few years ago because his mom didn't want him hanging around other people that got the COVID vax. That's fucking such a bummer. Gender theory, dead domain fashion advice. Where do you get your tops as a mask? I see several of your outfits and I want that same energy. I get my tops. So this one right now is kind of a, I'll see if I can do, how much room do I have here? I have kind of a little bit of a, like, I have a little bit of room for a spin. And this one is from, I don't know where it's from. I got it at a, this one's from Value Village. This top is from Value Village. The skirt is from, it's from another thrift store. The earrings that I had, these kind of, they look like melted hoops. Also from that same thrift store. Like they look kind of, I think they look better in person, but they're kind of like a silver liquid metally mimetic polyalloy look to it that I really enjoy. Yeah, just like, I don't know, it's just about finding the vibe that works for you. And usually it's about, okay, here's the thing. Go thrifting, but don't try and get a full wardrobe every time you go. Because I think that's what leads a lot of people, and a lot of especially trans people or queer people or people who are trying to build a wardrobe, that's what leads a lot of people to be disappointed, to even get depressed over it, because you go in looking for like, oh, I'm going to find a cool piece like this. I'm going to find a cool piece like this. And you can't really seek out the cool pieces. You know, you have to kind of let it, unless it's something very generic, you got to kind of let it come to you. And that's how you find cool shit. And also go with people. People will, you know, have a better eye for certain things, certain colors, certain things that go well with you. This shirt, I didn't even notice. My partner, she was with me, and Koa was like, hey, babe, try this on. And I was like, I don't know. I don't really dig it. I tried it on. I love it. I love this shirt. I keep wearing it. I think I've worn it for 2 videos now. Yeah, so like just, you know, experiment. Play around with it. Fashion is supposed to be fun. Yeah. What was I saying? I was saying there was one other thing. Oh, God, I thought... Oh, we were talking about Magic. God damn it. Okay. No, sorry. I've been working on an Ashnod deck for the other Ashnod, because I made Grixis Ashnod. My two like baby decks, like if This is a stupid thing, but if I had to get, of the decks I have, if I had to like take 2 to rescue from a fire, they would be Judith Carnage Connoisseur and Ashnod the Uncaring, which is the Grixis Ashnod. I built both of them from the fucking ground up. I've been working on them for months. I've tricked them both out with like, I have intentionally gone to seek cards that I'm like, okay, this card is staying in this deck forever. I want the nicest or coolest version of it possible. And so like both of them have like signed cards. Ashnod has like artist proofs from like, I have a Terramorphic Expanse from Brothers War that just has an Ashnod quote that is an artist proof that I specifically went out of my way to like bid on and try and find. And for those who don't know, artist proofs are backless versions of cards that artists who make the Magic cards will get a certain amount of artist proofs to like give out to friends or family or sell. And so they usually sign them and then sell them. Yeah. But, so I've been, because Judith and Ashnod are like my 2 favorite characters, I've been making, I already have both Judiths, because the first one is Judith's Rend Fair, because like Rakdos Guild, Rend Fair, like rending flesh, haha. I came up with that, I'm very clever. Rend Fair, and then the second one I call Murder Games, which is all just like forcing all of my opponents, and I'm still working on Murder Games, but forcing all of my opponents to like make really hard and stupid choices. Just ha 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 ha. And then Ashnod is Grixis. It's a Ashnod's like factory. And then the mono black Ashnod, who has been so good. And that's the one I play when I want to be mean to somebody. And so if I sit down and play with somebody who has like, is a Trump supporter, for example, I'm going to bully them. I will. I will bully them in Magic, you know? Cass, did anyone... It's because he hasn't abused his dog. Cass. I do not... Like, go watch the video. Okay, here's the thing. I will talk about the Hassan thing briefly. I got my dog laying right here with a little paw sticking. Oh, it's so cute. You got a little chicken leg. So Hassan's dog, it looks like she caught her claw and yipped, and this led a bunch of terminally online dorks, including Ethan Klein, because people just have this bizarre hate boner for Hassan, to just be like start accusing him of abusing his fucking dog. Which, first off, Kaya, which has also surfaced a ton of fucking videos of Kaya being around Hassan, that dog fucking loves Hassan. Like, no abused animal acts like that. Straight up. As somebody who, I don't watch Hassan regularly, but I do know animals. I have worked in an animal shelter. I have been in relationships with people who have worked in animal shelters. I think he vibe buttoned her. The dog can get scared by a sudden buzz. Yeah, absolutely they can. I had, so first off, also, shock collars are... Shock collars are a weird topic because when I was growing up, one of my dogs had a shock collar. This wasn't something I did. This was my mom bought a shock collar because the dog could not be calmed down. She had a rabid streak specifically for certain like small things that like to the point where, and this was a West Highland White Terrier. Oh, lady's completely free. Your lady's right here next to me. She's laying down. She's fine. And if you know Westies, you know that they have a lot of energy. And when they get after something, they put literally their entire little bodies into it. And to the point where like my dog Bonnie would possibly injure herself over fucking like just freaking out. She would watch TV, and over time she got a lot more calm, but she would watch TV and be like throw herself at the fucking TV if she saw a horse or another dog. And the thing that he literally talked about buying a shock collar. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that. I can't, like I said, I haven't seen that. All I know is that that dog does love Hassan. And if he was beating her, if she was being shocked regularly, one of the most streamed people on the planet, somebody who streams fucking, how often does he streams like 6-7 hours a day, 5 days a week? Like, he bought a shock collar in 2018 and never used it. Yeah. Yeah, like, and here's the fucking thing. So, and, oh, God. My mom used the shock collar one time on Bonnie. And she felt so fucking terrible immediately. We never did it again, but we also never needed to. Like, I think it sucks. I hate that shit so much. All I know is that dog fucking loves Hassan. Like, look at, there were videos going around with that just big ass fucking pooch, just a big ass dog, like coming up on his lap and then just fucking flopping, just going completely limp on her back. Which, again, there are so many things that you look at that, if you know anything about animals or animal training, a dog does not expose its belly. It doesn't go limp like that without trusting an animal. Or without trusting an animal, without trusting their owner. Like, just completely casually. Yeah, and like, she fucking just, y'all are fucked up. I'm not just gonna, like, believe something that I can see is not true. Gun William, Kaya also gets 4 hours of exercise a day. She's not forced to lay down in bed frame all day. So that actually makes a lot of sense. If I walk a lady in the morning, because I have a 3 mile, I talk about my 3 mile run. I have a 3 mile run. If I take Lady on it, I try to take Lady as much as possible. I haven't been able to because of the summer, because it gets too hot for her. But lately I've been going with Lady. She is conked for 4 hours. Like, dogs mostly sleep once they reach adulthood anyway. If I exercise her, she's gone. She's out. She's had all her sniffs. She's had all her runs. She's good. It's just... ...2 hours at the park before streaming gets a 2 hour walk in the evening. Yeah, I always talk about, like, when I start the stream, I always tell Lady, you'll hear me sometimes say, like, I just walked you. I just let you out. I just fed you. Because before stream, I usually walk Lady, sometimes a little bit longer than others, and I feed her. Because that's the time that she's used to getting food. And so, like, all of that makes complete fucking sense to me. As somebody who, Lady's not Kaya big. That's a big fucking dog. Lady's not Kaya big, but she has, kind of big dog energy. She has big fucking dog big dog energy. Big dog energy. Yes. Do I think AI will make things like this more common and worse? Yes. I think it already is. And like, yo. Got me just weirded out. I have not looked into it because I saw the original video. Yeah, Kaya's a fucking mastiff. Like, that dog is big. She probably eats like fucking a bag of food a week. Yeah, that dog is living a better life than most Americans. Damn straight. He says she's always trying to lay on the hard ground and he doesn't want her joints to be fucked up, so he tells her to lay on the bed. That makes fucking sense. Like, yeah, the stuff about, like, I don't know, I've seen a lot of people who defended Ethan, or who are still, for whatever reason, defending or taking the side of Ethan Klein, trying to come at Hassan for being abusive of his dog. When, like, dude, Ethan's dog just shits in the house and his kids pick it up and play with it. Like, didn't I see fucking Ethan talking about, like, using a prong collar? Fucking a prong collar? That is actual torture. That is actual shit that will dig into flesh and leave marks and scars. I think it is just basic obedience training. Like, that's the other thing. I'm pretty sure. I am pretty sure. Okay, hang on. Let me make sure I didn't just make that up and I didn't just see it anywhere. See it somewhere. Oh, yeah, here it is. Ethan Klein defends the ethics of using a prong collar on his dogs. Yep. Yo, Ethan Klein's dog ate Adderall? That's fucking crazy. You're lucky you're so spoiled, dog. Yeah, you're so spoiled. I just point my finger at her and she goes. One of my favorite things to do with Lady when I show people her is, like, when I I'll be like, oh, sit. God, I need a lady cam. Sit. She sat, but she didn't like it. Shake. Oh, good girl. I love you. Yeah, sorry. We got caught up. Ugh. Juliana, thank you for 26 months. Oh my god, thank you for the little goat emote, though. I love my little goat emote. Yeah, if you don't know what a prong collar is, prong collars are usually used for, like prong collars are that shit that shithead breeders will put on, like, their pit bulls and stuff to make them look tough. Can I see that dog? I do. I need a lady cam. Yes, I do. I love you. She sounds scarier than she is. I love you. Good girl. I have a pitty named Otto who's the biggest wimp on the planet. He won't bite you, but if you pet him, he'll never leave you alone. He's completely not tough. That's Lady. Like, if people will be like, oh, Lady sounds angry on stream. They'll hear her be like, I need to be really careful because she'll think I'm talking to her. And I don't know how to explain, like, this dog is such a baby that if the cat, like, swats her with the, like, just a little bit of claw out, like, if she gets too up in her sister cat's business and the cat just goes thwap, Lady will run to me, forcibly, like, run under my arm or under my leg if I'm sitting down and, like, take shelter and be, like, shaking, because she is so unused to any kind of, like, physical harm that even just the cat scratching her a little bit, not even leaving marks, will have her fucking shook. Like, literally shook. Yeah. Yeah, you're a spoiled baby, and you know that. Oh, yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. All right, chat. Oh no, I'm not confusing iron bites. I'm not confusing spiked collars with pronged collars. Like, I'm not talking about, like, the leather ones with the spikes. I'm talking about pronged collars. Pit bulls are very cute, but the big heads kind of scare me. I love my baby's big white head. It's so cute. They just have this flat little head that you can just pat the top of and just go, and I do that to Lady, and she just goes. She just looks up at me, and I just pat the top of her head, and she just goes, okay. Alrighty, so I wanted to talk about, we've been talking about a lot of shitheads lately. There's been a lot of stuff wrong in the government, in the world, in protests, in ICE. We might not even get to that. Oh, thank you, Miss Genderlyn. I really love what you've been doing with your makeup lately. Thank you. Yeah, and that's the thing. So really quick, I'm not interested in meaningless drama, but most people don't know how to take care of their dogs or even train them. It is abundantly clear that Hassan does. That Hassan does know how to train his dog, and that his dog loves and respects him. Like, it's fucking... Yeah, pit bulls are the most needy dog. Did you hear that? They're calling you needy. Streets are saying you're needy. Yeah, streets are saying you're whining. Streets are saying you're a big whiner. Chat, I didn't say it. Chat's saying it. No, you can tell them yourself. I will not. You know what? You know I don't speak Spanish. Well, I think that's offensive. No, I think that group would find it offensive too. Okay, well, you know what? Lady, you can't say that. Like, and yeah, I think that the fucking, like, that's what so much of the Hassan shit comes down to, is, like, he is the biggest streamer out there, so of course, like, everybody has to fucking weigh in on it. I kind of knew somebody would ask me, what's my take on it? It's like, I saw the videos of that dog not acting like an abused dog, and I was like, that dog's not abused. That's my fucking take on it. Is like, that dog does not act like an animal that is deprived of playtime, attention, food, training. It acts like an animal that is well disciplined and well loved. Okay. That's it. I don't really care. Like I honestly can't be brought to care. Brought to care. Yeah, he has the most insane and psychosexually obsessed ops. Yeah, there was, what fucking, was it Nux Otaku? It was one of those fucking little Gamergate freak dweebs on Twitter who was, I don't even remember what it was, but I just looked at it and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Where he was like, yeah, I bet Hassan puts this up his ass afterwards. And because it was like, I don't know, Hassan was showing off something on stream. And it's like, what is wrong with you people? Hassan has the weirdest fucking ops. Anyway. Yeah, it's meaningless. Like, that's kind of been my whole thing. Like, we've spent like 20 minutes now talking about it. Beer Bash Johnson, thank you very much for following. So, we've talked about a lot of heinous shit lately. And that's fair. Because stuff has been kind of rough. But I don't want it to go underappreciated or underreported that we out in the civilian class are not the only ones slowly losing our minds. In particular, there's one man who has been making a name for himself by just going out of his goddamn gourd. Somebody who I'm not sure if he was kind of always like this and now he is just completely unhinged, unbound, untethered by the corporate life afforded to him by a major show on Fox News. Or if this is something that has slowly gotten worse. But much like Candace Owens, I feel Tucker Carlson has been in a spiral that, despite reaching millions, has somehow gone unnoticed by both mainstream conservatism and detractors in the liberal media. Which is why I wanted to call attention not just to this video, but another one he did, hypothesizing America getting ready to go into a civil war. But before that, we need to watch a video about how Tucker Carlson thinks the Antichrist may be among us. And also the elites are doing rituals.
Something or other was demonic. Use the word demonic. It cannot have been more than 6 years ago when I was completely.
Okay. Wait. Before I do that, I need to bring up. We looked at it last year. Tucker claimed to have been assaulted by a demonic entity in the middle of the night. I need to preface that. He claims, and this has been part of a broad, like, Christian turn he's had, where he doesn't actually, he's in this nebulous, incredibly American space to be, where he doesn't, I don't know if he goes to church. I don't know how much of the Bible he's read. But he still, professes being a white Christian and all this shit.
Shocked that someone would use that term because it's not a political term. It doesn't even describe like any human social interaction. It's a spiritual term. And I just was not used to people using spiritual terms to describe social movements or political developments or whatever. But I think in that time, in the last 6 years, things have really changed. And I hear it all the time. It's demonic. They're demons. There is this sense that there's a spiritual underpinning, that there's something going on beneath the surface in American society and in the world.
I love So another thing, and I'm going to talk a lot of preface, and then I'll let Tucker kind of speak for himself. Another thing he does a lot is this pseudo philosophical analysis, where he'll say stuff like this. He'll present an argument in terms of, it speaks to this, that there's this underpinning that people just kind of know these things. And of course, you should ask yourself, okay, what people? Who's he talking about? What is he like? Does he give any examples of this? He almost always will not. He just kind of makes an assertion that to his audience might sound like, yeah, there are people out there. Damn, it does seem like a lot of people are calling things demonic. Maybe that does speak to a universal truth of some kind. And you get a lot of this kind of like almost Jordan Peterson level analyses where it's like, yeah, no, we're talking about universal truths and all these things that we all secretly know and hold dear, and the Jungian archetypes that we ascribe ourselves to. Like, it's just boilerplate, basic bitch first level philosophy. But he then uses it in service of like blatant Christo-fascist paranoia and propaganda. Important to remember moving forward.
World that's affecting outcomes and affecting populations, and like there's spiritual war in progress. You, and I hope you'll explain this, and I'll get out of the way in a second, but you kind of stumbled into an extended research project on this topic. Are there actual occult connections to Hollywood, to political figures, to technological advances, to the leaders of our society? Are some of them actually practicing occult religion?
Yeah, Tucker, it's about as weird as you said. Some would say, I think we're going to find out even weirder.
This shit sucks, dude, so much. I hate this. I hate this fucking... Oh. I'm not even like a country bumpkin. And I say that term, again, affectionately, coming from farmer stock. I'm not even like about that life. But there is something that just is... It's so fake. It's so fucking hollow. It's like stolen redneck valor. For people who don't know... Tucker is an heir to the Swanson family. The kid grew up fucking rich. Like, rich. So rich, nobody told him how stupid a bow tie looked until he was well into his 30s. Right? Like, you have to be a level of insulated from criticism to not hear that from anybody until Jon Stewart. And it's this fucking faux posturing, like Donald Trump Jr. does this shit the same. Like, he'll just post pictures in brand new fucking Carhartt, camo and all this shit, and it frustrates the fuck out of me. It frustrates the fuck out of me.
You're not a theologian that I'm aware of.
No, and if I was a very amateur theologian. No, not a scholar, as many will find out about.
But how did you wind up coming to the conclusion that, some of the people who help shape our culture or build our technology were literally practicing occult religion?
I'll tell you. Well, I was working on a television show, trying to build out this show.
Conrad
I come from a
Flynn.
Hollywood family, Tucker.
Yep.
My grandfather was the actor Robert Conrad. If you've some of your listeners, Wild Wild West, Black Sheep Squadron, you go way back, Hawaiian Eye. My other grandfather, Harry Flynn, was a publicist in the for decades. The Monkees, Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie, 2 occult shows, Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie.
Let's look up this guy real quick. Kabbalah and Jewish people. Oh boy. So it's probably pretty telling that the first results that show up for Conrad Flynn are not this person, but somebody else entirely. I'm gonna say it's probably pretty indicative of his position as anybody of note or worth listening to. r/Christian. but over time his Twitter posts more fringe and unhinged. Are the elite involved in the occult? Are drugs a portal to the demonic? Is there a link between AI and demons? Anyway. Okay, we're just going to keep going through it.
Maybe it starts there. I mean, not unlike your own father working in journalism, as a boy, one of the first things you learn when you have parents who work in media or entertainment, you learn that the People magazine version of reality is not the truth. That there is a difference.
All right, I'm going to run to the restroom real quick, but I'm going to leave it playing for y'all. I'll be right back.
As a boy, you learn that the way things are presented, not always conspiratorial, but you're always being shown a facade usually from the mainstream. I can't believe I'm saying mainstream media already a minute into this, but things are not what they seem. So as a boy, I was always told and shown that. So years later, through taking to Hollywood these various show concepts, and one of them, Tucker, I was working on was about when actors first break into the business. Where do they live? How do their lives go? It was a very wholesome show about the origins of actors and show business. But it was getting
you come to LA from Nebraska. What happens?
How does this work? But that gets into a basic thing. You probably had this as a boy yourself of wanting to know how do things work? You've seen the facade, so what's the truth? How does any show work? How are stars made? So I was working on this show, and COVID happened. Hollywood kept lighting itself on fire. I sold it to BuzzFeed, and then while they're drawing up the contract, BuzzFeed went out of business. So it was a cursed.
It's a volatile moment.
Yeah, it was a cursed show. The wholesome one was cursed. So at some point in 2022, I'd always had a dream project of mine, just a casual interest of doing a show about rock and the occult, about the secret history of all these things that people are generally interested in, but there's never been a kind of scholarly, in-depth hearing from everybody, not too biased take on of Jimmy Page being into Aleister Crowley being on the Beatles albums, things that maybe we can dispel.
Oh my God!
So there's always interesting, actual weird stuff going on.
That's because it was all bullshit, dude. It's because even at the time, people knew it was just posturing. It was just theater. It was, how does he pronounce it? Granguinol? Granguignol? Yeah, I always fuck it up. I always say Granguignol. Granguinol. I believe it's Granguinol. I butchered that there. Granguinol. Granguinol. Granguinol? Oh, it's a Yu-Gi-Oh card. I did not know this. Is that not? Is there? It's also a word. Never mind. Fuck me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to take that show out, and it became kind of
not all of this is a figment of your imagination.
Oh, no. It was not, as I learned I don't say the hard way, but no, so that was the basis of it. Me wanting to
Does he think demons are real?
Show, which was tentatively titled Running with the Devil, and I brought in a legendary rock critic, Stephen Thomas Erlewine from AllMusic, his colleague Ned Raggett, and then the creators of the Osbournes, the recently departed Ozzy Osbourne, Sue Kalinsky and Greg Johnson. So I brought in legit people. I brought in some of the best critics we have in rock to do a show that would, we'd have Christians and pastors, we'd have occultists. One of my experts on the show was this guy, Mitch Horowitz, who I think.
Okay, so here's the thing. When you get into these ideas about we have Christians and pastors and then you have occultists, it comes into this issue where Christians and faith groups sincerely believe the shit that they're into. There are people who deeply believe that there are real battles between angels and demons, that Christ died for everybody, and at one point he'll come back on the last day and all that shit, right? Yeah, there you go, damn Sputnik, thank you. And then there is the other side of things where I'm not saying there aren't genuine occultists. There are certainly people who practice witchcraft. There are certainly people who practice magic. But the idea of this, the archetypical Satanist, the LaVeyan Satanist, is theatrical. And it always has been. People like Anton LaVey were very fucking clear about that shit. So you cannot compare the two because they are not coming from an even footing. Granguignol? Oh, you know what? That actually makes more sense.
you knew. I forget if it was at Salon or
former editor of mine. Yep.
Yeah.
Very nice guy.
Well, he became an expert on the occult. I talked to him. A very nice guy. I think he's a self-described Satanist.
That was after I knew him.
That was after, we got to clarify that. So while doing this show, it's all a long way to say. While creating this show and taking it around town, I'm another guy that was a big influence, Gary Lockman, this occult historian, a friend of mine. While doing this show and trying to get it created, I would tell people I know in tech, because I know a lot of people in different circles. If I have one superpower, so I know a lot of different people and have a lot of strange hobbies and interests that kind of, the Venn diagram is very unique to me. So while creating this show, the people in tech and the people, some of I know in Silicon Valley or politics, they go, that's a great concept for a show. And then they'd say, there's some of the stuff going on in Silicon Valley, there's some weird kind of Aleister Crowley cults there, or, while researching, one of the guys we'll talk about, Nick Land, who's huge in Silicon Valley, his influences were identical with some of the hardcore industrial music, goth music, psychedelic guys in the 80s, guys that I was researching, because this is hardcore occult stuff. So for me, Tucker, at some point I was like, and it kept occurring to me, why, when I'm researching this show and also hearing about what's going on in Silicon Valley with weird stuff, why am I hearing about the same stuff? And why are these people, again, you think of Silicon Valley, you think of the modern, elite as being secularists, rationalists, people who have a no religion for me, thank you, attitude towards stuff. Why are they into the same stuff that Kenneth Grant, Genesis P. Orridge was into, Brian Geist and William S. Burroughs? Why are they into the same weird stuff? So that was, to answer your question, that was the entry point into this for me, is having researched the show and being such a nerd about it. I knew it forwards and backwards. Then when I started to get into the tech stuff, I realized I was researching the same thing.
It's interesting. So here's the distinction that I make in my mind. And it's between people who are participating in occult practices and have no idea that they are.
Right.
People who are, participating in abortion and don't see it, don't understand it as what it is, which is a child sacrifice ritual as old as Canaan, who are using.
What? That was so, yeah, somebody in chat, I didn't quite know how to process that, because that was so casual. Look, I realize when you get into a certain space, you get into a certain level of conspiratorial thinking, this shit does become common parlance. It becomes like just offhanded remarks to be like, as we all know, people think that abortion is just abortion, but it's actually an ancient baby sacrifice ritual. Is like, no, I didn't. Explain that. Expand on that. What do you mean by that? Hey, Tucker? Hey, Tuckums? Tucky Tum Tums? What the fuck, dude? You're just gonna. Okay. No, we're just. All right. Yep.
Hallucinogenic drugs, which are clearly a portal for demonic possession.
Sure.
The
word witchcraft.
Okay, fucking flashbanged as soon as I start again. Again, just it's the cadence with which he so confidently says drugs, which are clearly a portal for demonic possession. So it's just like, oh yeah, as we all know, drugs clearly a portal for demon possession. Nehemiah, thank you very much for $20. People who act like they know what Kabbalah is piss me off so much. It's a big part of life for many Jews, and it just has a very rich history. It uses complex thought, meditation, the names of God, angels, but to them it's just demons. Yeah, like that's not surprising. I mean, it's the same shit that when they quote, like, they'll be like, oh, the Talmud says this, and they'll have some fucking out of context verse or some fucking out of context thing that some rabbi wrote down a couple hundred years ago, and they'll be like, this is what all Jews think. And it's like, no, that's not really how it fucking works. Oh, man.
I think in Greek it's pharmakai, I think it is. So there's always a natural link between putting yourself, they would say ecstatic states or altered states. That's always been I mean, there's a kind of lurid story behind the witch's broom in terms of what she's doing to work herself up into that state. But yeah, it's all about.
But she's doing it intentionally. I guess that's the distinction that I would make. In a secular country, a free to be you and me country, there are a lot of people who are doing things because they're fun or interesting, or everyone around them is doing them, and they don't understand the spiritual consequences. But then there's another category, and this is the dividing line in my head. There's a category of people who are seeking power from supernatural forces that they acknowledge are absolutely real.
Right.
Okay, so I can't skip over that without, because I feel like everybody in the chat, you're still understandably you're still wrapped up in the baby abortion sacrifice and the Kabbalah and all that stuff. We can't skip over the fact that what he just referenced was witches working themselves up into a place to be receptive to spirits by masturbating with a broomstick is what Captain Mophead McChin just said.
And they're practicing an occult religion, and they're doing it with self-awareness.
Right.
And I always felt like there weren't that many of those. But what I've learned from you, from our extensive text exchanges over the past year, is that there are actually some of those, quite a few of those.
Oh, but totally. I mean, look at it a couple ways. So, among other things, Tucker, we're living through an explosion in, I mean, occult's a big, broad term.
Yes. What does it? Can we define it?
I mean, it technically means the hidden. But there's a book written by these guys that they ran an occult bookstore in New York in the 70s. It's called Bull from Heaven or something like that. But one of their definitions, it had to do with new age, elements of New Age philosophy. And
I love when a purported expert is like, yeah, the book was called something or something. I don't know. Really, it makes me feel confident that he knows what he's talking about.
pagan thinking, I think, was part of their definition. But it got broadened out a bit. Occult can also just mean interest in New Age, which accounts for like 80% of Americans, whether it's astrology, whether it's the concept of manifesting, which is, the law of attraction type stuff. That stuff is huge. And as I've talked to you about, it's also huge on the right in terms of Maha, Make America Healthy Again. These ideas that we don't think of as being too goth or too occult or too out of the mainstream have become incredibly mainstream over the last decades. But I mean, even going back to 19th century America, they were there, and even 18th. But since the 60s, they've exploded. But they've become so ingrained.
Okay, I want to go. That's all well and good. That's all well and good, Moppy. But I want to go to the meat. I want to get to the goods. I've eaten my veggies. Give me the dessert. I'm going to go to the section titled, "Is there a link between AI and demons?" Chat, how are we feeling? Do we have any Shin Megami Tensei enjoyers in the chat? All my Digital Devil Saga fans, rise up.
Basically so rarely explained.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we start with just a very straightforward explanation of who Nick Land is. You've referred to him twice.
Yes. So let me see. Nick Land is kind of essentially the Timothy Leary of the 90s and 2000s. He's the Velvet Underground or Brian Eno of philosophers. No hits, incredibly influential.
Okay.
So the thing is with Land,
He's a philosopher.
He's a philosopher. He worked in the philosophy department of Warwick University over in England, in the UK, in the early 90s. One of the ways I actually really got into this stuff is a friend of mine, Simon Reynolds, brilliant cultural critic, brilliant rock critic, originally from the UK. I brought him onto the show to do the music show, and he interviewed Nick Land. And Simon, is the most stiff upper lip, very intellectual English guy you could know. And so the fact that he was interviewing Nick Land, who the people said, he's crazy, he's into the occult, he's into all these wild things. I was like, well, if Simon interviewed him, this will be a down-to-earth understanding of who Nick Land is, because Simon's very down-to-earth. So when I read Simon's interview with him, which is from 1998,
I think Nick Land is one of those fash-ass philosophers.
Mark Fisher, which I got to relish. Tuck, this is probably the first and last time someone will bring up Mark Fisher on your podcast. So I want to take some time to enjoy that. But so Simon, he interviews Nick Land, and in his article, it's very lengthy.
He always just looks. Tucker always just has a look of perpetual confusion. Like he just always looks like he doesn't understand what conversation he's in at any given point. Like next time it cuts back to him, watch him.
Possessed by 3 or 4 entities at the same time. That's the legend. We don't know. Take what you will about any of this, but that 3 or 4 entities at the same time. He's bringing up current
spiritual entities.
Yeah, demons. He's really into demons. He brings up the 93rd Current, which is the name of a band. Current 93, which is Aleister Crowley's Thelema, and they're drawing pentagrams. They're renting out Aleister Crowley's house, and so that was a huge moment for me where I was like, wait a second, this guy that's very big in tech, very big on the future of AI. My buddy is interviewing him, and he's.
I love. Oh God. It's another example of how fucking peasant brained everybody is, that they're like, wait a second, this guy who's really into AI is also rambling about demons. Is AI demons? Instead of stopping to go like, yeah, it's probably because the same people who are susceptible to being AI dumbasses are also susceptible to thinking they can be possessed by 4 demons. Like, you look at a thing and go, yeah, that checks out. that somebody who would believe in one stupid ass bullshit thing believes in another stupid ass bullshit thing, instead of going, actually, what if not only is demons real, but what if demons is AI? I think we're onto something. Fuck, man. 4 demon chests. Inside of you are four demons
that I know about from this research here. What's he doing in AI? So
what are Nick Land's ideas?
Well, that was I went on.
Is he still a philosophy professor?
Yeah, you can catch him on X and Twitter. You know, tweeting.
Okay, let's see what Nick Land's ideas are. Oh, it does list him as a philosopher. Oh, that is an evil person. Oh, a worm? A worm? Nick Land is an English philosopher best known for popularizing the idea of accelerationalism. Accelerationism. I said accelerationalism. Sorry. Cybernetic Culture Research Unit, a theory fiction collective co-founded by Land and cyber-feminist philosopher Sadie Plant. Post-structural theory and leftist thinker like Batali, Marx, and Deleuze and Guattari, as well as sci-fi, rave culture, and the occult. So basically, a Silicon Valley tech bro who is up his own butt is what I'm seeing. Here's the thing. Every generation has these people. You've already heard him talk about Crowley. I've talked about LaVey. Every generation has these people, and whether they're charlatans, whether they actually believe the shit that they're hawking, whether they have huffed so many of their own fumes, they've done so much DMT, had so many trips with other people that they're like, hey man, what about this? These people are not unique. They come around every so often. In another time and place, people were too busy tilling their farms to pay attention to this dumb bullshit, and they would become hermits, right? Modern day, they somehow get to become philosophers. Following a period of amphetamine abuse, he suffered a breakdown and disappeared from public view. Clearly somebody we can all listen to and trust. He moved to China, reemerged as a figure on the political right, becoming a foundational thinker in the reactionary movement known as the Dark Enlightenment. His writings have explored anti-egalitarian and anti-democratic ideas. So, after his breakdown, he completely changed his entire philosophy and worldview, moving from leftist technocrat to far-right anti-democracy. Again, somebody obviously you can, just a voice you can trust. Da-da-da. Xenocosmology, shifting towards religious and numeral. Dude, he's a numerology professor. Rad. Capitalist monarchies to pursue long-term technological process. Awesome, dude. Scientific racism and eugenics, which he has called hyper-racism, increasingly been recognized as an inspiration for the alt-right. Rad.
One tweet at a time. I think he's xenocosmography. I think is the tweet is his handle, and used to be outsideness. But he can be pretty brilliant and smart and has some good takes. But in his way. But
so we just went over a brief summary. What are his good takes, buddy? You can't say somebody who believes in what he calls hyper racism, anti-democracy, corporate monarchy, and you're like, yeah, this guy's onto some stuff. What?
He was
What are the themes of his work?
So he eventually, he says his work was entirely channeled. So, channeled as an automatic writing. So this goes back centuries, but 100 years ago, you had poets like W.B. Yeats. You notice me struggling to make sure I pronounce that correctly. He had his wife do a channeling to write his book. A channeling means essentially you're possessed to write this. That this didn't come naturally.
Okay. This is something that writers, authors, psychiatrists for years and years have known about. You get into a kind of flow state sometime when writing. This is something. So because I'm doing a video on, I've been putting together a video essay on the dream symbology of floating rocks in video games and why so many games use floating rocks. What can they possibly symbolize? How do we parse potential dream meaning when dreams are usually not like they're usually intrinsic to a person to parse their meaning, as opposed to something that people are trying to decide to have meaning. And so to do this, I've been reading a lot of Freud's work on dreams, because Freud was one of the first psychiatrists to really delve into like the psychiatry and meaning of dreams, but also the self-assessment behind them. And one of the things that Freud advocates for is like keeping a dream journal and trying to be as uninhibited in your writing process as possible. And to do that, he actually cites an older, I don't remember who the author was, but he cites an older writer who would do the same thing. Like you write, it's God, what the fuck is it called? It's actually a very common writing technique. What's the fuck is it? It's stream of consciousness. God, fucking doy. Like stream of consciousness writing is simply writing whatever comes to you without trying to, and the way Freud talks about it is without trying to overanalyze it, without trying to critique it as you're writing, just like idea comes out, like whatever. Yeah, Aaron McGee's stream of consciousness, which is an incredibly, incredibly common thing for all writers. Like that's what he's describing here. That's wild. That's wild. All right, I'll be right back. I'm going to go refill my water.
From you, that maybe
some outside force takes over your hand,
demons,
your
angels,
tongue.
yes. And so his work on AI, which is incredibly influential, he said was an outside force to write this. And
Nick Land is a proponent of AI.
Oh yeah, no, he's a proponent of AI, but his philosophy is essentially that we are building this AI that's going to become not only just super intelligent, but it eventually becomes so advanced that it gains omniscience, it gains omnipotence, and it becomes this superhuman godlike thing that transcends humanity, eventually destroys humanity. And he gets really into the Book of Revelation, ends up becoming the demons from the Book of Revelation. The real thing with Nick Land.
Wait, what becomes the demons of Revelation?
AI does. The AI, that we are building the demons from the Book of Revelation with AI. And
that's Nick Land's position.
But I should say too, it's the position of a lot of these guys. Elon Musk has said that with AI, we are summoning the demons.
Yes, he has said that. He said that 10 years ago in an interview, and he's said similar things every year since. But Elon is, or was, trying to sound the alarm on that. Nick Land is for this?
I mean, with a lot of these guys, Tucker, it ends up being, a lot of them are, I mean, they would maybe blink at Satanist. Although Nick Land has said, Christians who believe that what he's doing is talking to Satan when he does these divination things. He says they're not totally wrong. He's not unsympathetic to it. He says he is hearing from the outside and that these are, he's not totally unsympathetic for it. But with a lot of these guys, what was interesting about Nick Land is that they keep getting the same ideas. These guys take drugs, whether it's Elon, Nick Land, or even in the 70s, the scientist John C. Lilly. John C. Lilly was an eminent scientist, brilliant dude. He started doing ketamine, the same drug. Everyone does in Silicon Valley. And when they do this drug, and even if you're an atheist materialist, this is still interesting. They all get the same idea, which is that the machines are, coming. It's like Skynet and Terminator. They're coming together. They're evolving to eventually.
Okay, again, wait, they all get the same idea. That's not demons. That's just a bunch of self-obsessed messianic complexes interacting with one another and being like, damn, what if we're really like, hey, maybe it's actually a little bit of their fucking conscience taking over for a half second and then being like, damn, maybe I am making the world a worse place. And it just comes through like that from their subconscious. Like, this is fucking... common side effect. Everybody who's done Ket is like, oh, fuck, Rise in the Machines, right?
Actually take over, and that we are hanging ourselves with the rope we're currently building by building this. But this goes back, Nick Land was interesting, but he became less interesting to me when I realized that other scientists in the 70s, John C. Lilly, the movie Altered States from 1980, his horror movie, this is about, he would have these visions about the machines. He called them the solid state entities. He would have this in the 70s, Tucker, in this tank, the isolation tank he'd go in. The new, you probably haven't seen it, but the new Mission Impossible movie, Tom Cruise, he fights this AI and he goes in the isolation tank and he has these visions of it. One of the biggest movies of this past summer. And that plot point comes from John C. Lilly and the visions he would get of AI apocalypse in the isolation tank back in the 70s. So I bring this up to say Nick Land is the most foremost proponent of it that has a public name, even though he's not that famous right now. But this goes back a long time, at least back to the 70s.
So are these? So people take ketamine and they all have the same vision.
I mean,
or species have the same vision.
Enough of them do to make it very strange and alarming. That's the thing, that one of the main influences on both the show I was building, these guys, Brian Geisen, William S. Burroughs, his creative partner, he would say the thing is about getting high and about doing psychedelics is that, you can spot people, eventually who are on the same drug and you're both getting the same ideas. Some drugs, he said, increases telepathy. It puts them on the same wavelength. So with a lot of these guys,
it's a little weird that different people from different places, different countries, different life experiences would take a drug and have the same kind of vision.
It's totally weird. And for anyone who's tuned in,
that can't be organic.
No. But that is weird beyond what anyone's individual personal.
Yes, the lighting did change so I can show off my glowy Tron juice. I want to show off my glowy. While we're talking about cyber demons and shit, solid state entities and demons inside the machine, I want to show off my Tron cup. God damn it.
Beliefs are. So
exactly.
That's So if anyone tunes in and like, where did Tucker find this guy that looks like Greg Olson talking about insane AI stuff? If they're an atheist, they don't believe any of this. Like you're saying, the fact that people are taking these drugs and they're very powerful and they work in tech and they are getting the same ideas, the same fears. They think that in some cases they're talking to the same entities. There are books now about if you take DMT, if you encounter this machine elf, be wary of this. They're encountering the same stuff. That's an interesting
machine elf,
just biologically, regardless of what people
like ancient.
Again, you can't. It speaks to, I really wanted to watch this because I haven't seen this, but I really wanted to watch this to talk about and to illustrate how far down the rabbit hole Tucker has fallen. And I feel like, okay, let's put aside the Moloch of it all. Let's put aside the ancient sacrifice of the babies and all that shit. The fact that this grown adult man just unironically used the term machine elf. And Tucker sat there with that typical, like, vaguely dazed look and just took it in like it was the most normal thing in the world. The dude is talking about, like, a Phyrexian vat keeper being seen by Silicon Valley tech douchebags, and Tucker's like, well, yeah, that makes sense, actually.
Sacred art has the same images created
right.
on different continents at different periods. They couldn't have had contact with each other, so why are they drawing the same Birdman or the same purse? Because they're seeing the same visions, which suggests that those visions are.
It's because humans draw from the same instinctual experiences. It's why there are common themes to dreams, despite cultural differences, educational differences, complete differences in how you're brought up, where you're brought up, your lifestyle, what you go through, what a bracket you are in economically, how people will still have dreams about, like, their teeth falling out or being naked in front of crowds of people. Like, this is what I was talking about with this pseudo-philosophical drivel, where he is making these broad assertions and then just extrapolating from that things that he holds up to be or holds up to the audience to be like, well, these are obviously your universal truths. How else do you explain that there are, cultures who have vaguely similar fucking ideas? It's like, well, how obviously there have to be, like, psychic ghosts or some shit. Okay. Go about your way. Go about your way, buddy.
Real.
Why is snake worship universal around the world?
Exactly.
Serpent worship.
Hey, these guys are like the Adeptus Mechanicus if they were incredibly cringy and had no cool art design. So, like the Adeptus Mechanicus. Boom! Get fucking roasted, artifact tech nerds. Get fucking roasted.
Here's something you may not have known. Back in 2015, the Congress of the United States
Get fucking
something called
dunked
the
on with your
Country of
stupid
Origin
servitors.
Labeling Act. Now, why is this relevant? Do you just take that for granted? But it's still shocking to those of us who grew up in
the fucking skull-faced machine weirdos just being like, yes, we will serve the God Emperor. You Ultramarines are not the final destination of evolution. We, the Adeptus Mechanicus. Fucking...
basically a godless country. It's
totally. I mean, one of the basis for my interest in a lot of this is, my mom was raised in.
I think, okay, again, there's something to be said. You're not allowed to make it illegal for me to summon a demon. Like, fine, maybe you think these people are summoning demons. It's not a bad thing, though. Like, everybody should summon a demon. Meow, 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 meow. So, it bears calling attention to the idea that these topics flow freely from one to another. That they will go back and forth from talking about machine elves to then talking about the state of the country. I don't want to say on Tucker's part this is by design. Like, I personally, I don't think Tucker is such a conniving operator as to, like, try and engineer a sense of flow to lull his audience into complacency and be more susceptible to this shit. I think it is more that they are in a state of normalcy for this kind of shit, where they see these things as all connected, right? It bears repeating that Tucker Carlson is somebody with close proximity to Trump, to the administration, to many people in the administration. He is still a big fucking name in the conservative sphere. And I think that speaks to how much this insane bullshit has been normalized, that he is able to say this stuff and nobody hears about it. That he is able to entertain these conversations about machine elves. I can't get over the machine elves. That he is able to entertain conversations about machine and then be like, yeah, so let's talk about the state of the country and why everything's messed up. Is because for people like him, they believe all of this shit and the fact that it all intertwines.
Home. I consider I'm a Christian myself, and my mom would always say, she became a Christian in the 70s, but she knew all the psychedelic groups back in the 60s. Love, Spirit. She and my aunt would go to Doors shows and all those groups in the late 19th.
Does Joe Rogan even understand this nonsense? This might be getting a little too heavy for Joe Rogan. I think there are ways you could spin this. You could fire this at Joe, and he would be like, well, yeah, because that's like how they'll see. Silicon Valley people, they'll see machine elves, and that's crazy. Hey, Jamie, could you pull up that that one guy, that one guy who saw a machine elf? Like, that's what Joe Rogan would do. He would like half-heartedly laugh it off while still asking questions about what people believe, and that is Joe's place in the ecosystem, is to not really believe anything but to platform these fucking ding-dongs under the vague guise of entertainment. Tucker, however, I think fully believes this shit. And you can kind of tell by how credulous he is to, I gotta say it again, machine elves. Machine elves.
60s. And something that she'd say, and that people who are rock and rollers into the occult would say, that they both say the same thing, which is that people take drugs, musicians do, for inspiration, for creativity, to tap themselves into the spiritual realm, to pull something from outside themselves. So the basis for my interest in a lot of this stuff was like, that's something my mom says. My mom's a great Christian, one of the all-time greats. And this is something that every musician knows too. That's why they take drugs, is to tap into the spiritual.
So I didn't know that. I thought that people took drugs. I mean, I took drugs.
People take drugs for all kinds of
reasons. I'll admit it, but I always assumed that those insights are really mostly fake insights. But all that stuff came from within. That it was. I mean, I bought the Freudian analysis of it. That you only use 10% of your brain, and there's this whole sort of primordial sea in your head of thoughts and visions that you're not in touch with on a daily basis, but that drugs thin the membrane. But it never occurred to me a single time until middle age, when I started to see reality, that actually they're coming from outside you.
Well, and Tucker, that's a great point. That's something that any psychedelic...
No, it's not!
Kind of a double standard thing to do, where when talking about drug use, they'll always say, well...
God! It's so... in a way, it's actually quite fascinating how they have to, try and ascribe a scientific method to anti-intellectualism, to an anti-scientific standpoint. It is kind of fascinating how they have to be like, well, I thought it was this kind of Freud, which it's not a great summation of what Freud believes, because what he's talking about, he's referring to the subconscious and or the collective unconscious. Do I have that back? Yeah, the collective unconscious and the subconscious, and how dreams manifest things and why they represent and mean certain things to people, and that gets into like Jungian symbology, and Jung based a lot of his shit on Freud, and I don't want to go into all that shit right now. The ego, super ego, all that shit, the id, and etc. etc. But what she's basically hand waving away decades of psychiatric and psychological analysis and study and iteration to be like, well, now I know it's coming from somewhere else. It's coming from something else, and of course it's got to be something deeper out there. That there's it's coming from demons, maybe. Like fucking. Pareidolia is seeing faces or seeing anthropomorphic. Like pareidolia is when you see faces in inanimate objects. So like, when people see faces in cars, or pareidolia I think is also like it applies to like seeing figures in clouds and shit like that.
Between what's going on in my head and what's going outside. We're all one. It's always, I think it was William James.
Mackenzie L, thank you for $5. Someone I know who is big into tarot thinks ChatGPT is the Antichrist, all-knowing, and will take away our free will. Real AI concerns are fake, though. Look, I don't believe necessarily in praying for people, but you should pray for that person. Ma, thank you for $5. This is just that gif of Jimi Hendrix doing a ritual on his burning guitar, but less cool. Yeah. Like, yeah.
The great oceanic feeling, what he would. But that's always their big insight is, hey man, what's going on in my head is different from what's going outside, until the psychonaut encounters some sort of weird demon on DMT, and then they backtrack and they're like, brother, that's just in my head. Don't worry. What's in my head can't get in your head. So they go from it
until you have two different people meeting the same demon.
Right.
Then you realize, well, wait a second.
Well, psychonauts are maybe not the most logistically consistent.
No, but I'm just saying again, just to
God, I hate Tucker's. I forgot that just like blindsided me. Tucker's insane Joker laugh. I completely forgot. I almost am. I'm almost jealous of the genuine joy he seems to be able to have in his laugh.
Be hammered hard enough that there is a realm that exists outside of us over which we are not in control.
Yes.
And that it can enter. You can bring stuff into you.
Right.
That has control over you.
Right. Totally. And, to bring this back into some historical precedent, a good question that, people have asked me are, what are the precedents for this? Because this is really weird to think of people in tech, who are into strange AI stuff. I thought everyone was pretty grounded. But, if you look at, are you familiar with the story of Jack Parsons over at,
Please tell the story if you don't mind.
I'll do a succinct one. Jack Parsons, he grew up in Pasadena. He was brought on by, I think it's Theodore von Karman, this scientist over at, I think it's Caltech, or eventually it was JPL. But he was really, really into the occult. And he summoned the devil allegedly when he was 13, really into esoteric stuff, part of this greater LA avant-garde scene. And he's I think he's been said he's the fourth most important person in the history of jet rocketry and stuff like that. But he was really
Special Blanket. I've heard of this stuff before. It is like of course everybody's heard about people having psychiatric. I think you might have missed the beginning part. I don't have a problem if people have had supernatural phenomenon like that. That's a different conversation. What we're talking about here, what this guy is talking about, the beginning of this conversation was all about like Silicon Valley tech bros and like AI as a portal to demons, and now we're talking about drug trips being a portal to demons. It kind of sounds like anything they can't readily easily understand they're just going to call demons, and that's really more of what I'm taking issue with here. Yeah, no, actual suddenly, fuck it, mental illness is actually demonic possession again. Why not?
Manifesting a supernatural being. So he would go with L. Ron Hubbard, the future founder of Scientology.
Special Blanket, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I do believe I've had spiritual experiences on LSD, but it's not anything supernatural. It's just that life is pretty trippy and you see it a different way. The problem is that they don't have that separation. They are intentionally rejecting that psychological analysis of it and saying, no, actually, it is demons. Like that's the conversation happening here.
He was doing intelligence work. He wasn't really into this stuff, but he would go with L. Ron Hubbard into the Pasadena Royal Seco, and they do rituals there.
Oh,
and
Alex
try
Jones
to,
has talked about this
manifest,
type of shit too.
A kind of supernatural figure. So there's a classic example there, and science is littered with these, of people who are brilliant scientists, but who are into incredibly strange stuff. And the guy.
I noticed that a lot of those scientists are working on technology that kills people.
Yeah, they also do that too. And the guy that brought him on.
Well, Parsons was doing that.
Well,
I mean, ultimately, the technology was used to kill people.
Which one are you referring to?
Rocketry.
Oh yeah, rocketry was. And what's funny too is he either he or von Karman, they donated to my friend Rick Spence. He's like the Doc Brown to my Marty McFly. He's this historian I brought on for my show trying to do it, and he's an expert on Parsons and this stuff. And he pointed out to me that Parsons and von Karman, that they were part of the Pasadena Cell 122 of the Communist Party, which is he said the exact same one that I forget if it was Robert or Frank Oppenheimer in Pasadena were also donating money to. So there's an incidental funny historical connection there between Oppenheimer and Parsons and the
Let's go.
But
Let's go.
If we need more evidence that nuclear weapons are demonic.
Well,
I know this upsets certain people on the so-called right, but it's evil, and if you can't see it as evil,
nuclear, yeah. It is funny though. I was gonna say the Parsons, the guy that brought Parsons on, though, is this guy, Theodore von Karman, and von Karman's father told Karman, brilliant scientist.
This is getting a little bit boring. I want to technology being used for evil? Question mark. We gotta get to Kabbalah? Question mark.
What is Kabbalah?
Kabbalah is something, after the destruction of the first temple, the Jewish people were famously enslaved and taken captive by the Babylonians. This is where the book of Daniel is written. And what Nick Land does, and a lot of these guys do, is they end up perverting Jewish history. And they, in the Bible it says, salvation is of the Jews, which people forget. And a lot of people that don't like Jews, they forget, the Bible comes from the Jews. It's almost all exclusively written by Jewish men. Maybe not the book.
Is he gonna skate over? Granted, I've missed a little bit of it, so I don't know if he talked about Nick Land being anti-Semitic. But is he gonna skip over that? Because he's talking about he kind of mentioned that Nick Land kind of perverts the history of the Jews, and a lot of people that don't like Jews kind of give up the ghost on that one. But what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Huh?
Luke. So what Nick Land does, and a lot of these guys, is they say the real purpose of the Jewish people was that they picked up Kabbalah from the Babylonians back in maybe 5th century before Christ, and that they kept it. It eventually becomes, Kabbalah is essentially, it's a form of, and people say magic. I mean, Gary Lockman says that what we think of as occultism is all essentially Kabbalah, at least in the West. It's a form of magic. It's a form of, I'm going to butcher this because I'm not a scholar on it, but essentially what Nick Land believes is that the Jewish people, that they kept the Kabbalah, it eventually becomes digital life, through ones and zeros.
But it's a Gnostic religion, which is to say it's hidden from non-initiates.
Yeah, I mean, there's a mainstream version of it, but it eventually kind of becomes what they believe. It's a precursor to digital life. So what Land and a lot of these people believe is that the actual salvation that the Jewish people provided was keeping Kabbalah, which eventually becomes digital life, which eventually becomes AI, which eventually becomes the creatures in the Book of Revelation, which essentially later go on to.
Okay, well, you can't. You can't just. Whatever. You can just say, obviously, I mean, look at this guy. You can just be saying shit sometimes. Obviously, people can just be saying shit. That's fine. Whatever. That's via con Deus. Go with God. However, far be it from me to be like Tucker and just nod along. You can't just say that ancient Jewish practice becomes ones and zeros, becomes coding and computer technology that will become the demons from the Book of Revelation without me asking, how? Okay?
Destroy humanity and fulfill the Book of Revelation, but that is a good thing. A lot of them believe.
Something amazing is happening in the U.S. After years of national rejection of faith. Remember the new atheists? Long gone, because a revival is underway. Millions of Americans are rediscovering what our culture tried so hard to hide, which is the ultimate power of the universe, the power of prayer. The sticking place
Jesus
is the right
fucking
moment.
Christ.
Times like these require
Jesus fucking Christ.
truth.
Get me out of here. Get me out.
Land, he calls himself a theosophist. Theosophy, again, it's a hard thing to.
Whoa, theosophy.
Untie
Oh, man.
Because the religion itself was kind of a mishmash. It was a 19th century philosophy, formally put in place by Madame Blavatsky, I think in 1875.
A Russian emigrant to London.
Yes, and she came from a long background of Freemasons and German. She came from a very occult. Her first cousin was the premier. Of
Quiet
Russia,
femoid, a
C.J.
Mormon
Fitz.
missionary who's trying to tell me about the machine elves.
So she,
Madame Blavatsky was a very famous person in 19th
yeah,
century.
she was essentially the mother of the New Age movement. So what she believed, it's Western esotericism mixed with Eastern religion. It's essentially proto-hippie, proto-California counterculture stuff. A great book on this, one of my favorite books, is a book by Martin Green called Mountain of Truth about Ascana, Switzerland. It's about the birth of the modern counterculture, the California counterculture. Whether it was Trotsky and Lenin or Carl Jung, all these people hung out, Tucker, in the same place in Switzerland in like the 1920s. But so Theosophy's main insight, according to Land, was that, and he said it himself, the secret doctrine, the name of her book, was that, this is what Land believes about Blavatsky, the serpent is the redeemer, that Satan and Jesus are the same person, which also ties in with a Gnostic cult called the Orphites, I believe, from the 2nd century, who, again, they believe when Moses is holding up the snake on a stick, that's also Jesus on the cross. Pretty heretical stuff. So to answer your question, how do you get into Satanism? Again, another, record scratch, how did I get her moment to say that out loud? They believe that, essentially, it's the Gnostic idea that Adam and Eve were slaves in the garden, that they were stuck there, that the serpent, by when he approaches them, he essentially gives them the red pill speech from the Matrix. Look, you're a slave here. You're not doing anything. You're naming animals and tending to a garden. You're never going to break free from this over God that's here. I can give you a choice. Take this fruit, this red pill. I don't know if it's a pill, or you can stay here and be a slave. But just know, if you take this thing, if you take this pill, if you eat this fruit of knowledge, which, as you can see, I should emphasize this, the tree of knowledge very much ties directly into this whole concept of AI, which is we are kind of creating this tree of knowledge. But we'll get to that in a second. But the serpent says you can eat from the tree of knowledge, and there'll be a price to pay for that, but you're going to be free, and you'll be like a god.
Once you rebel against Dad.
Yeah, essentially, yes. You will be free. You need to transgress. You need to sin, but you're going to be like a god. Eve famously eats the fruit, brings death into the world, and they understand shame. They have this gnosis moment, Adam and Eve, where they realize, oh my goodness, we're naked. Who are we? They have this self-actualization moment.
Sorry, I was
That is the
taking
Gnostic
pictures for my
of the Garden of Eden,
boo-boo.
and that is very much it's an ancient idea. No ideas are really too new. But to answer your
That's
question,
the oldest idea of all.
it's very old. But
Bow down before me and you'll be like God.
yeah, but to get back to your original question, how did people get into these ideas of? The Theosophists would say in some cases, it seems like they actually believe in Satan, but even on a metaphorical level, they would say the mind, intelligence is Satan. That the human mind.
Chat. We talk about a lot of big, high concept things here, but have you considered the idea, chat, that intelligence is the real Satan? We ain't never seen space travel. I'm gonna say it. Like we're never meeting aliens. We gotta reckon with that fact right now. Nah. As all right. Is there demonic interference in music? Influence in music? Is war a product of demonic intervention? The deadly AI dilemma. And the Kabbalah tree of life. Okay, yeah, we're gonna skip ahead a little bit because I am not listening to all this shit. Can we play? Thank you very much for $10. Narwhal by nature. If intelligence is Satan, I'm looking at two holy men.
Understand, but his role in this movement
Ain't
really
that
is
the
a loose
fucking
movement.
truth?
of occultists, of demon worshippers, of people who are possessed by demons and say so out loud. But he winds up having an effect on a lot of very powerful people, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, and again, when you're working on the Hollywood show like I was, people will come and tell you stuff that otherwise they keep to themselves. And so back in 2002, people would, tell me, Nick Land's really, really influential. And people in Silicon Valley, his work, it's not all just occultism. I mean, his idea is that AI will revolutionize society.
So you start talking to people in Silicon Valley, and it turns out they are in contact with or reading Nick Land.
Well, with Nick Land and with a lot of weird stuff. I mean, in 2022, I was, researching more on my show, and I had this moment, Tucker, I'll never forget, where I was talking to some pretty big.
All right, sorry, give me
VCs,
1 second.
venture capitalists, and
We're paying for the whole thing.
Well, they're doing a lot of the AI stuff. There's a weird element with the AI thing where a lot of people, a lot of big dogs, they are concerned about AI. They think it's bringing about the end of the world, but at the same time, they don't want to stop working on it and funding it.
That's exactly right.
It's a lot like you're probably not familiar with the Ralph Wiggum Simpsons meme, where I'm going to explain a meme, a joke, which it's always a great way of bringing out the humor in some things to explain it scientifically. But it brings it to life, the frog. Ralph Wiggum has been asked to do like a Milgram experiment of giving electric shocks to people, and he hates it, and he's sobbing hysterically. But even while he's sobbing hysterically, he's still flicking the knob and delivering the shocks to people, so he's crying and still doing it. That's what a lot of the AI people are like to me, where they're like, this is terrible, we're bringing about the end of the world. Some of them believe they're bringing about the Book of Revelation, and yet they're like, I can't stop funding it. I can't stop cutting checks. I love it. I can't.
And there are two I know.
Sorry, I got a call
about this exact topic,
and I completely
there are two
forgot
reasons that I can discern
what it was.
others. But one is, the entire economy of California, maybe of the United States.
Okay, we're talking about the economy of California now. Thank you very much, Solar, for $2.79 Canadian, doing my first woman Halloween costume this year. Congratulations. What is he even talking about anymore? Ostensibly, we're talking about the deadly AI dilemma.
Is bet on AI. Right. That's kind of the last tech win we're going to have as a nation.
Well, yeah.
And the second is China. The second, maybe even more compelling, is that we need to achieve superiority dominance in AI, or China will. And
China already has. Here's the other thing. People are joking about like the century of American humiliation. That shit is here. Like, what was China? And granted, I understand that some of this is just a propaganda dub for China. Like, it is not beyond me that the stuff we see come out of China is intentionally, it is framed intentionally to show it off as a incredibly prosperous, incredibly innovative nation. That doesn't stop it from being prosperous and innovative, especially when it comes to like public works projects. That fucking that bridge project. What do we have in America in terms of a technological, architectural feat that rivals that? People who are into markets and market share realize that fucking China just pulled a massive shift on like rare earth minerals that have to go through their country. Like, they are not taking the shit Trump is doing lying down, and it is becoming readily apparent that we might need them more than they need us. Like, this is some real... all right, you remember when... you might remember a little film. It changed the course of the balance of power of the DC universe. You remember that? Where the... I can't... in the marketing material, famously in the marketing material for Black Adam, The Rock's vanity project in the DCU, there was a lot of big posturing about how like the balance of power in the DC universe is going to change. That's what America feels like right now, where Trump is the titular Black Adam. Trump is The Rock, talking a big fucking game for a product that nobody wants and nobody's really going to buy. And that is going to be subsumed by something far superior, something that people do want, being the new, Gunniverse. Like that is just a weird, I don't know, the balance of power shifting is why I fucking think of that.
Unacceptable. So there's a race. So it's sort of like the nuclear
they've
race.
They've already won
1945, 6, and 7.
There's not a race for AI.
Right,
China is one.
It's like, this is bad. We probably can't control it at a certain point. but we can't let the other guy.
Right. We still have to do it. No, there's also something with AI. I mentioned theosophy earlier, and theosophy, it's a house with many rooms. I mean, even politically, it had ties to political radicalism on the left, and yet, famously, it's a very tricky thing. But even the Nazis.
Oh boy. I don't like that going. Drew Pruitt, any reading you'd recommend? What kind? What are we talking here? Actually, the reason I got a phone call is that my local game shop and comic book shop I had there's a comic on my pull list that's available now. So that's my reading. No, I've been reading, like I said, what did I finish? I've been reading. I have a thing on Schopenhauer that I'm excited to get to. I'm finishing up Dream Psychology. I did not like that first Remembrance of Things Past by Proust? I don't remember. I've not read anything by Joe Abercrombie. I do want to read The Immortal Hulk at some point. I really do. I want to read The Immortal Hulk and Immortal Thor at some point. I've heard really, really great things about those. But I've been also reading, I think I showed it off, the comics are still on my desk because I haven't finished reading them, but I've been kind of getting into these new EC comic joints that are quite good. If you like good short horror stories, I love a Junji Ito. I love just here's a story in 10 or so pages that gives you maybe a little twist or, a little bit of gore or a jump or something like that. The new spate of EC comics, like the Tales from the Crypt, this is Epitaphs from the Abyss, Cruel Universe is another pretty good one. I fuck with these. So yeah, go check those out. Go get them. Go support your local comic book shops.
Weird, Aryan supremacy stuff. That was all the grandchild of Blavatsky's concept of, Hyperborea and all that stuff. So, it's all over the place. It's not a left or right thing. It transcends that. But one of the reasons they moved out to California, is probably some economic interest too of wanting, cheap land, or I think it was the electric currents, is there was a kind of weird prophecy or idea that Blavatsky had in the 1870s, 1880s, maybe later, that California would be where the next race of humans would evolve from. That it would happen in California. That would be their Jerusalem. That would be their Babylon, is California. So as we enter this age of transhumanism, or would-be transhumanism, AI, and the leading people are, like Nick Land self-described, neo-theosophists, Anglo-theosophical.
Please, Tucker, please, I want him to chime in so bad and be like, well, of course, actually there's real transhumanists, like, he fucking does. That's the best my Tucker impression's gonna get. I'm sorry. I'm not putting in the, did DD just order me to find a pirated free sword? I said nothing of the sort.
Escalation is Land's Twitter bio. That's how important it is to him. It is important to remember that was a core idea of theirs.
But it's so perfect. I mean, California is, as a native Californian, I can say it's a metaphor for that. My family got there in 1850, so we're seeing the whole trajectory. And the trajectory of the state of California is like the trajectory of the life of any occultist. Bill Burroughs, for example, or Aleister Crowley, for example. Like, at first it's the Marquis de Sade. It's like, it's super fun. You're having crazy sex. There are no limits. You're throwing off the old fetters of tradition, religion, all that stuff. How does it end?
Not good.
And it ends in squalor and alienation and agony and terror, screaming out. And that's where California is now.
Totally. So it's important to Mario Party and Diddy Party.
I agree.
Those parties are in that way.
California ends like the Marquis de Sade. Just stunning analysis, Tuckums. Just, yeah, sure, dude. Okay. Oh, man. All right, we got the Kabbalah Tree of Life. What is the Antichrist? What is the Mark of the Beast? Spiritual aspects of AI. Have we even tried to excavate the ruins of Babylon? How to spot the Antichrist. Okay. We got some good here.
She has these questions for him, and he has such powers of understanding. So that is something that says the Antichrist can do. And if you look at the way that a lot of these machines work, you ask it a question like an oracle, which in many ways it is. In many ways, Tucker, the implications of this, and we'll talk about that in a second if you want, we are building modern oracles. We are building modern idols in a sense. But you ask it these questions, and it can answer them. And the Antichrist can do that. And so, he
Okay. So, the reason why AI is demons and AI is Antichrist is you can ask it a question, which makes it an oracle, like in Delphi. And because you can ask something a question, it's like the Antichrist. I don't think I have any questions. Yep, asked and answered. That, yep. I just remembered the Magic 8-Ball Demon Panic. Ask Jeeves was demonic. Yeah, Jeeves? Coincidence? You can realign, switch around the letters, and Jeeves spells Vajee, which is, of course, as we all know, it's an ancient demon in the Kabbalah.
The level of knowledge that we will get. And people were writing about this over a century ago, Tucker. It'll be like Jesus is on earth in terms of man's understanding of himself, that AI will be able to provide answers to questions that we've never understood. Man's relationship, what's the relationship of the soul to the body? How's the soul different from a spirit? Things that like no one could understand, maybe cracking telepathy. We probably are on the verge of all these things that no one has been able to do. But that is, for what it's worth, one of the signs of the Antichrist is...
These people are so stupid, it hurts. Oh my God. AI is not omnipotent. It's not all-knowing. The fact that it is made, even if it is a learning algorithm, by humans, means that any information it inducts will be from humans. If you ask it a question, it gives you an answer. It is a compilation of knowledge that we have given it in one form or another. This shit is actually breaking my fucking brain.
Craft, things work out for a time. Everyone, wealth goes up, understanding, knowledge goes up. And it goes to the fundamental crux of this thing: Gnosticism, knowledge, intelligence. And in what ways does it stand different from faith? Faith being to the spiritual world what the imagination is to the natural world.
So I've got to assume that's not the end of the story, though.
Well, no, not unless you've had the last few pages of your Bible ripped out.
Right. But also, you don't have to be biblically literate to suspect that that's just a point on a continuum that ends in tragedy. So in the same way that no one wants to say it, but like a lot of really dark, destructive sex stuff is fun while it's going on.
Right.
Like everyone likes the threesomes while they're happening, but then it blows up your...
So interesting that we've kind of been talking about Freud, because that's what we in the biz like to call a Freudian slip. You see, right there.
Marriage. And leaves your kids without, a family and stuff like that. So
again, I'm more Mario. My knowledge for this stuff is just purely through literature. I'm just but even the kind of people I know and hang out with, I don't know.
But it's just true.
Right,
I don't know. I guess you're not supposed to say stuff like that, but I just
people get up to bad stuff, and it never ends well.
I guess what I'm saying is that things that are bad and destructive, cocaine is a perfect example.
Right.
Vodka is a great example. Are pretty fun at some point.
Oh, totally.
On the continuum.
Right. And again, I know about this through literature. Yeah. Power of film.
Right. Okay. But
okay. Let's see. This is how I know Tucker is in some real, actual Dark Illuminati shit. As somebody who's done how much of this can I say I've done publicly? As someone who's engaged in multiple things that he's just talked about, at the same time, I'm fine, dude. I'm doing all right. Like, I still have functional relationships. What the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about?
The only reason I'm bringing this up is because you're describing the upside.
Tucker, somebody in the goop, so he destroyed his marriage with cocaine, vodka, and a threesome. Skill issue, dog. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me.
But I'm assuming, based on a knowledge of human nature and reality, that like that's not the end of the story. The end of the story is bad.
Yes, I mean, and this is, I mean, again, I'm not
based on a knowledge of human nature and reality. They see, and that goes back to what I was talking about, where he just makes these broad assertions based on when you look into it, what the fuck does it mean to have a knowledge of human nature and reality? Like, additionally extract from that, what does reality mean? When we've been sitting here for like an hour now, listening to this man entertain ideas about extra-dimensional goblins and demonic drug portals, and he wants to be like, well, as somebody who obviously knows and is in touch with, because I have a knowledge of reality. Do you though? Do you understand reality, Tucker? Do you?
Scholars. Some people are probably now very saying, "Oh, no kidding, he's not." But the Antichrist makes a treaty with Israel. He famously breaks it. The fact that we're letting AI companies run through our governments, and I use OpenAI just as, it's like saying Photoshop for photo editing, where there's like OpenAI.gov or whatever that we're giving backdoor access, and Elon too, with Doge to an extent. We're letting guys have entire backdoor access to our entire government. That creates a situation where they can have power over all governments simply because they have all the information on all of them.
Can I ask a foundational question that I should have asked earlier?
Sure.
So the idea behind machine learning is that you take knowledge, information created by people,
right,
and you basically take all of it, and then out of that comes the right answer, okay? But I think you're describing, in your description of AI, a technology where the sum total of that information is actually bigger than all of that
just the information?
Yeah. You're describing like a husk into which like an independent spirit moves.
Right. Well, that's the thing. And to go back to Silicon Valley's obsession with the Antichrist, people talking about that, just in general. I mean, people understandably think the world's ending across the political divide. And people talk about the Antichrist, but there is in the Bible a kind of dark Trinity: Father, Son, Holy Spirit, where there is
a dark
you have
Trinity.
God the Father, you've got the Son Jesus, you've got the Holy Spirit, and in Revelation you theoretically have Father, you have your father the devil, you have a Satan, you have a son, Antichrist, and then you've got this third thing, which could either be like the false prophet, or it could be this general spirit. With AI and the idea of making AGI and making a global brain, which they talked about like last week, that's where we're creating a global brain. You could be creating the equivalent of a dark Holy Spirits. It's something that the internet becomes, as many people have written, I think it was Jack Good, the last machine. And they were talking about this in the 19th century. It is the machine to end all machines. It is taking all information. If you're wearing something that has your health data, Tucker, it's taking your health, it knows your financials, it knows everything at all times. It is all knowing in the same, it mimics or mocks the concept of the Holy Spirit. And when they talk about that, like there's this idea of the singularity, the idea when all things will be one. And there's a lot of definitions for this, but either that the machine becomes smarter than humans, but a lot of them talk about this moment where all of humanity is connected at the same time. What you're essentially talking about is a potentially dark or satanic version of the day of the Pentecost, where 50 days after Christ's death, I believe, or maybe it's the resurrection, the Holy Spirit comes down in the book of Acts, and all believers can understand each other. You had a sense of divine unity, unlike the Tower of Babel in Genesis, I believe, 11. You had a symbol of evil unity, and God put an end to. All of men could understand the same language. They were all nations, and they were trying to, be like God by building this tower. Stanley Kubrick, in this book, in this Kafka retelling of the Tower of Babel, Stanley Kubrick wrote in the margins, he goes, "The Tower of Babel was the beginning of the space age." Because it's essentially getting after what we're doing today with the singularity and a lot of this stuff. We're trying to build a modern Babel where all of mankind, same language. I mean, there was this writer, Nicholas Eberstadt, I believe is his name, and he wrote these two books, one about the end of work, men not working, and the other one's about the decline of babies, no one having babies anymore. And I met him at this thing, and I joked to him, I said, your last two books, they're about the reversal of the curses from Eden. The man would have to work by the sweat of his brow, and the women would have to have children. And he busted out laughing. He goes, I never thought. He goes, I never noticed that that's what's going on. So if you look at the modern world and what we're building, essentially, what's happening in rapid succession, Tucker, within living memory, some of the curses that are in the Bible that go back to the earliest pages of humanity are being eroded or reversed, leading up to something. People no longer have to work, or they don't work. They choose not to work. But increasingly with AI, man will not have to work again. Having children.
Okay, but that's not what's happening. Like in practice, that shit isn't happening. All this stuff is not. Again, it just reveals this detachment from the reality of what AI is, how it's being used, because AI is being pushed by people in Tucker's sphere, the wealthy, the elite, to make life worse for fucking everybody. People Tucker likes, like Elon Musk. I knew this video from Tucker. I knew that him, like, he's been platforming wackadoos. I did not understand how, like, what a dire condition he was in. This is so much worse than what I imagined. Tucker is on some truly unhinged shit. Like, genuinely. I don't even know what else to say. Oh. AL, thank you very... Can we get machine elves? As some sort of emote goes so floppy. And Phalo Bun, thank you very much for subscribing with Prime. All right. So, chat, I was going to watch another video, but I have to go pick up my partner. Let's go do a raid real quick. Let's see who's raidable. And by the way, if you are watching on Twitch but are not following, we are almost to 9,000 followers, so go ahead and hit the follow button. I don't even need you to subscribe. Subscribe would be really cool, but I don't need it. I would just like to get to 9K followers. That'd be pretty cool. We have Naughty Roomba. We have... Yo, we got Run Buttons on. Let's go say hi to Run Button. Or Connor Eats Pants. No, let's do Run Button. Go say hi to Run Button. Go send him some love. Thank y'all very, very much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night, and I will see y'all soon. Tomorrow morning, the Tron Ares review will be hitting the channel, so stay tuned for that, and have a great rest.